Hello, Virgo, Libra, Moon sign people. This new moon in Gemini is ninth house energy for you. This is a super new moon, like the sea. We don't see the powerful currents underneath it, do we? We just see the ebb and flow above it, those waves, right? But the actual energetic pull of those emotions that we have is what drives those waves, and that's your moon sign driving the sun sign to act. That's where we are here, and Great Mother speaks through the lunar cycle as well as the still small voice, specifically to those of us going through the dark night of the soul and healing from mama drama trauma. It is a condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and or physical trauma in cases where she is unable or unwilling to heal. Unavailable. Sometimes they're unavailable. Sometimes the mother could be dead, transitioned, and we could feel a tremendous sense of abandonment. Loving detachment is required. Now, that is my coaching specialty, and these cards are designed to help with that and to assist those of us courageous enough to be serious and sincere to break the cycle. It's a taboo topic, and ninth house in this new moon is showing us in your recent past, you've come out of a victimhood about this MDT. You're starting to tell yourself the truth about how you see the world out of a sense of abundance now, as opposed to a sense of lack. So you have come into a space of recognizing the abundance of Great Mother, Father, God energy, and knowing that you are a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father, God. You're realizing that. This is how you're entering this new moon in Gemini, which is a hugely feminine, receptive energy. It's a very deep supermoon. We can see full supermoons, but we can't see the awesome void that surrounds us with a super new moon. That is a pull. It's a magnetic pull into that galactic center, and it's a very powerful time for downloads. And so to be entering this new moon, having come out of victimhood, and to presently be in a space of bringing things together as it relates to your healing process, is a very powerful place to be. Virgo, Libra, Moon people. That is how powerful integrity is. When we decide to stand up and tell ourselves the truth about something, that's powerful. But with this ninth house energy, you're telling yourself the truth about how you see the world. And it's out of a sense of abundance. Something has happened in your journey that has led you to understand that you have everything that you need. Underneath the surface, this is all going on. It's something within you. You know that you have everything that you need to move forward with your healing journey. You have this deep sense of self-compassion. Deep sense of self-compassion. You are very aware of how you've been wounded, and you're ready to do the self-healing work. You've already started it, and things are coming together, but you don't know that one of the big reasons that it is because you are being very self-understanding. And that's strange to me, because usually when self-compassion appears, we need it. But this is appearing for you because you already have it and don't know it. You already, in other words, are in many ways, it would suggest, calling on the support that you need, calling on your higher knowing, calling on what you know from an intuitive sense to support you, to buttress you. You're in a process of self-creation. You are taking the initiative to create what you want your life to be. In your sidereal soul sign of Virgo, the nakshatra that this Taurus moon is in Rohini. So this is passion, this is beauty, this is magnetism. This is being very composed. And it's symbolized by the cow. And Ishel, being the Mayan goddess of fertility, is telling me that presently you are recreating yourself from this inner space, of knowing that there is an abundance. And it's almost like it's a newness to you. It's almost like you didn't know that this was there for you before. And this dark night has delivered you a gift of awareness that is truly one of the greatest things that you can receive from this journey. And you're using that energy to trust in the process. You're recreating yourself. You are redefining, you're refining yourself, you're editing who you were before, ways that you used to speak. Even your wants and desires, the second chakra, are changing. You are fully expecting to own your beauty. I mean, you are like, hey, like this Rohini energy, you're expecting to really be in a fertile place, to really receive all that you need and to give from that place. You're really expecting this to pay off, in other words, all this emotional work that you're doing. And although you're still dancing in the shadows with the sense of being an orphan, a sense of being alienated, a sense of being estranged from the birth mother, it's not controlling your life or ruling your life the way it used to. You are on your yellow brick road, Virgo, Libra Moon people. Ishtar is showing up for you in the position of hidden influences. You might have some questions, though, about how to use this energy going forward as you recreate yourself. And so you have this thrust of energy that you're very appreciative and aware of on many levels. But you don't really know how to kind of pivot this new power, this new embrace of your power in a way that will serve you. Well, Great Mother's coming through and she's saying that there is a possibility in your present situation that you could sell yourself out, because you know how sometimes we are so happy about something and we're just in that space that something can happen to take advantage of us. We could be just happy walking down the street or whatever, and totally we're just elated and forget that this is a street, cars are driving, and get nipped by a car or something like that, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, take me all out of my groove here. That's what she's saying. She's saying that just remember that you still are in the material realm, and there still are things that you're processing and that you're learning. And so continue moving ahead with your intention. Don't drop your intention, in other words. Things are going well for you emotionally, and you are connecting very well. And in order to continue doing that, to maintain that connection and pivoting this new thrust of energy that you have, hold your intention. And for some of you, that might need to be refined. It might need to be changed. We begin a journey with one goal in mind, and then we get there. And it sounds like for many of you, you're getting there. Things are coming together. And so you may just be in a process of redefinition right now. So you truly expect to get the definition that you need. You truly expect to get the self-endorsement and the self-understanding that you need, and you will. And you expect that, and you fully expect to articulate that. See, this is what happens when we operate from a place of truth and from integrity, which is what you're doing, and seeing the world from this place of abundance as opposed to lack that you're leaving behind, is making the selfhood central in your reading here. What Great Mother is saying needs to be let go of is a tendency perhaps to act without staying connected to that intention. Okay, so as you do receive that new refined download with the double yin symbol that we have here, as you receive that, please be aware that it's going to be very important for you to self-acknowledge what that new intention is and move forward. Sometimes the double yin energy can be so subtle, it really doesn't pick up steam, which is why it's so important that we incarnate in the material realm, that we can balance that out through action and through actual crystallization of a spiritual intention. And that's what she's reminding you to do in this process, is to acknowledge these subtleties that you receive and following them out. In other words, don't stop now. You're on the path. Don't stop now. Her advice is that there may be, in spite of all of this, some feelings of upset about how things are coming to fruition, because you don't clearly see how that new intention is going to pivot into a way that continues to honor who you are. You don't exactly see how the assertion of your beauty and your power is going to work out. You feel it, you know it in your being. There may be some upset, and she is acknowledging that that's okay for you to feel that way, but realize that it's offering you an opportunity to see how that expectation was formed. In other words, with the Mayat card dealing with justice, many times when we're on a journey and we have an expectation at the end, that light at the end of the tunnel, we picture in our minds exactly what's going to be at the end of that tunnel, right? And that's what keeps us going. That's natural. That's our motivation, our inspiration. But many times when we do come to the end of the tunnel, it might not be exactly where we thought it would be. We thought it was going to be the end of the journey. It might be just halfway there. And then we have to keep on going until we get to where we really wanted to go. There may be some feelings of that at this particular time. And she's saying that look a little bit deeper and ask yourself, what is it within yourself that needs to come forward from this embrace of your beauty, from this embrace of your power, from this asserting your true dignity, that's going to take you the rest of the way? And that's your immediate future, taking responsibility for your journey. In order for you to do that, it's important for you to embody the rewards that you're feeling now. You're feeling rewarded for asserting your integrity at this time. Assert that, because you are. You are being rewarded in ways that you did not expect. Acknowledge it. That for you is taking responsibility for your journey. That for you is saying, wow, I thought it was going to be this at the end of my journey. I'm halfway there. And now I'm realizing that in my heart of hearts, I might want to course correct. In my heart of hearts, I could have went this way. And I didn't realize that, but I see now I have more of a bird's eye view. It's reassessing your journey and receiving the love that is there in full. You are doing that right now. But this advice that Great Mother has for you is to receive it fully. Own it fully. Own your journey. It's a beautiful one this lunar season. Androgyne is your possible outcome. The law of Destiny and free will is about you doing exactly that. Fulfilling your destiny is impossible without integrity. Our destiny is what our soul is here to do. And your soul at this particular time, and we talk about seasons of the soul, because the season grows and it evolves and it changes just like we do. And in this particular season, it's all about expression for you. It's all about expressing that truth and sharing that truth with others. And so that is very much a possible outcome for you, to be doing that as a teacher, to be learning ways to do that as a student, or to be traveling to places that would bring aspects out of you that express who you are more readily. Maybe some long distance journeys that you've been meaning to take that really will allow you to activate aspects of your soul that have not been able to be realized at this point, is a real possibility here for you during this lunar season. And I mean lunar season until the end of this eclipse season in November. Long-term future, we're looking at rebirth. You're being reborn. You are completely being reborn. I mean, going from victim all the way to, you are expressing yourself, receiving the rewards, and taking the responsibility for your journey. And in the long term, okay, and so again, we're talking until now, to the end of the lunar season, until maybe the lunar season starts with Cancer in the North Node in November, this time next year. And it's there for about 6 months, it might be for you. So anytime long term will be November for some, and a year from now for others. You'll be peeling the layers of all of this in expression of yourself. The law of destiny and free will. We don't have to do this healing work, do we? It is a free will choice. Your final outcome, you're going to face this challenge. You're making that free will choice to fulfill the law of destiny for your soul, which is to express yourself. You have a life beyond MDT. And Great Mother has said, congratulations, you are well on the path to fulfilling that destiny. But your life is shifting in unimaginable ways, and you will not recognize yourself a year from now. Bravo, Virgo Libra Moon people. Bravo. If you're new to this channel, subscribe. Some of you will have slightly different meanings as it relates to your moon sign, as the collective general reading is first house oriented. Your actual moon sign may be in another house, and so that's what the personal readings are for. Stay tuned for the extra nodal axes video to get a little bit more understanding with regard to the eclipse season, and specifically the north and the south nodes as they relate to moon sign readings. Thanks for watching, but above all and most of all, the Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Okay, a word on the nodes is that they are typically viewed as too ethereal to be grounded in the world, too much of a conceptual aspect of the astrological chart to be really practical and practically interpreted as meaningful in your life now, which is why they are associated with the soul and kind of, okay, we can't really understand that, it's bigger than we are, we're not going to go there. And although that is true, the part that we can go to when we're looking at lunar aspects is that in the North Node, or Rahu, we know that that is the evolutionary direction the soul is headed. We know that it is in large part the soul intention for its incarnation this particular lifetime. And knowing that, the sign it's in, the house it's in, and what aspects that house and those planets tell us the nature of the incarnation, what's important to it. Now, bringing that from the ethereal and the conceptual into a grounded interpretation requires us to understand the sentient nature of our physical senses: hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, waking, sleeping state, the state of health, the state of unhealth, etc. Those subtleties of life is what brings the nodal into the practical sphere. For example, all aspects of our nodes always oppose one another. And we know that if your Rahu is in your fourth house, your north node, then the 10th house is where Ketu, or your south node, is. Conceptually, we know that that soul is here to ground itself in the physical realm, specifically domestically, in its home, through property that it owns, to ground itself physically in the world. Now, regardless of the other aspects in the chart, because we're talking about the nodal axes, it's going to have a holographic effect on the entire chart as it relates to its incarnational purpose. Everything is ultimately pointing towards that in their own way based on other aspects of the chart. But if you could just imagine the yang symbol, the circle with that arrow to the right, finding its ultimate purpose in this earth realm, steering towards it, pointed towards it, and finally incarnating as the physical form of the cosmic calculus that makes up our entire chart, which is our internal wiring kind of laid out, splashed upon the stars and constellations that we can read and interpret. We will see that the north node and the nodal axes in general give us a look into how to ease the internal stresses of that life incarnated purpose. So regardless of what it is, there will always be stresses associated with it, issues of insecurity, self-esteem, and how we are experiencing that incarnational purpose on an individual basis. So with our example with the North Node in the fourth house dealing with domesticity and the mother, there will be challenges associated with the home and the mother. There will be stresses associated with that, because that is the stuff that evolution is made of, that conflict, that yin and that yang purification process that occurs. So just looking at that, we can see that there will be opportunities throughout life to grow and evolve, which can be seen in the chart. To further ground that, we want to look at what your chart is telling you about your health, what your chart is telling you about your career, about your relationships, how you see the world, finances, and spirituality, because it's going to inform the strengths and the challenges associated with that. As we do that, returning back to the subtleties of our waking dreaming state, our clairs, clairvoyance, our clear seeing, our clear feeling and touching, clairsentience, clear audience, those extra sensory abilities. What happens is our unique strengths in those areas are constantly offering us information, tools, and guidance about how to confront, remedy, and transform those challenges and those stresses. So let's say, for example, with the North Node in the fourth house. One of the aspects is to have a sixth house everyday life situation where the sun is there. Or I'm not going to get too deeply into the example because there's so many variations, but let's just say that in your everyday life, you're very focused toward what you want to do. You're very clear about what you want to do, but maybe in your career, there's some conflict for one reason or another. That's going to create a challenge, perhaps, in creating the necessary revenue to get the home that you want to feel grounded. That is going to work for you to feel that domestic grounding. And so with the South Node or Leo and K2, there's going to be a tremendous tendency to want to fall back on that default, which is what the South Node is, the soul default, the many lifetimes that the soul has had in that particular energy, which is all about accomplishment, success, in career and that sort of thing. Wanting to fall back into that, even in light of this lifetime, that being a challenge, there being some corners cut perhaps, or some illegalities perhaps, as it relates to acquiring the home that you want, or dealing with maternal issues and that sort of thing. So that's how we can ground it a little bit further and look for opportunities with our dreams, with how we are managing our sleeping life, our circadian rhythms. Are they really supporting us in a way that we feel energized enough to fulfill what we need to fulfill, to acquire what we need to acquire to feel grounded? If we need to be a bit more creative than what the present lifestyle is in acquiring a home, do we need to perhaps be a little bit more intuitive with regard to what may be other opportunities to acquire those things? Maybe there are people that are wanting people to do some house sitting around your area, but you really haven't tuned into that. But there may be some intuitive guidance in that area where you could easily do that. The soul is always downloading intuitive information to us, and it is through our sentient voices, feelings, and unctions that we can connect to exactly what it is that we need to fulfill those things. And so that is what we look at in a moon reading as it relates to the nodes. We look at where those strengths could possibly be for you. Some people have more of an ability to hear. They may have clairaudience based on the fifth chakra prevalence of Mercury energy throughout their chart. That kind of thing is what we're looking at in a moon sign reading. That's the perspective that we are able to gain a clearer view into how to use your sensitivities, how to identify them and work with them to fulfill your practical needs that the soul has in this lifetime, for you to feel the balance and the equilibrium that you need within yourself as you deal with this very challenging issue of mama drama trauma.
For more information about Mama Drama Trauma, visit mamadramatrauma.info.